Hello guys, my name is Antonio, I'm an Optimist Director and welcome to this project presentation. So today's project is about pricing in the pharmaceutical industry, and it was a project that avoided the company to make a big mistake. So what was the business issue? So the problem statement was that a company revenue, 30% of company revenue came throughout the tender channel, okay? And the company needed to increase the winning rate throughout this channel. So the typical idea that many sales reps have when we need to increase sales is to reduce price. And this happens in some markets with price elasticity and when consumers, they are well informed. But in many situations, even if you reduce price, the company does not increase revenue. So there was this suspicion that this was the case in this company. Then a Six Sigma project was started. Here, some background. The company needed to increase the winning rate from 46% to 51%. Okay, a net increase by 5%. These were the revenue year by year, and these were the projected project impact in case they achieved the 5% increase on the sales. So the project would generate $4 million in extra revenue. Then the team started mapping the process. So here is a macro mapping, step by step, the price definition, so on and so forth. Here, there was a breakdown of the voice of the customer. So what the company wanted from this project. So they wanted to win more tenders. They wanted to arrive to the tender on time, and they wanted to receive feedback for those tenders that the company didn't win. And we started the measure phase collecting factors using this fishbone. So the fishbone, we grouped the main dimensions in area, hospital, tender office, sales force, sales director, and marketing. So during the brainstorming, all the sales team, all the sales reps, they were pushing very strongly on wrong prices. So the company was not winning more tenders because their price was very high. And this is a typical pushback from sales reps, okay? So every time they are challenged to sell more, they answer, okay, I can sell more if you reduce the price. And then as a marketing and sales director, I used to answer back, okay guys, so if we needed to sell reducing price, then I don't need a sales force. Then I just need a internet portal. So your job, you as a sales rep, you are here, your job is to sell the company's product by value, by perceived value, not by price, what is very, very different. Then the team started further analysis of the factors that came out of the brainstorm. They did a correlation of each factor in terms of the voice of the customer. So remember, right time, right price, and feedback. And after that, for those elements, for those factors that were ranked as a higher priority, the team collected data and started analyzing this data. So here is the first analysis of the data. So they tried to evaluate the price behavior throughout the time. So throughout the time, there was a variation that was very standard, except by these two outliers. The average selling price was €8.61, but without a lot of variance in prices. Then they have done another analysis here, the average selling price by area. So this area here corresponded to 28%, this other area here 24%, the third area 19%. So these three areas represented 73% of the revenue. So the high priority here in these three areas, 73%, a clear Pareto pattern here. Then the next analysis, it was about the result of the tenders by status. So they were surprised here that there was 13% or almost 14% of the tenders that the company was suspended. So they were in this area, in this three focus area, the winning rate was 50%, the losing rate 36%. Okay, so here there was a first insight. So a task force was defined to determine the cause of why this company have been suspended 13% of the tenders. So if they were only here, guys, if they fix this problem and they win half of the tenders, the same rate of here, of those suspended tenders, they already achieve the goal of the project, that is increasing the winning rate by 5%. Make sense? So here was a first very, very important, very precious insight. Okay, this was hidden for the company, for the upper management, and a task force was initiated already here. Then there was a price plotting in a histogram, and they noticed that there was two mode behavior. So probably a pollution on the database, two categories of products or product price were mixed here. So they needed to clean the data, so no insights here. But here there was a very, very big insight, and it was the proof of concept that the pushback of the sales rep that to win more tenders they needed to reduce the price was definitely resolved. So there is a plotting of the status of each group of tenders. So won tenders, suspended tenders, and lost tenders by the average price. And the average price here, it's absolutely the same. So the price had no correlation among these three categories: winning a tender, losing a tender, or a company being suspended in a tender. So a big enlightenment, and a second task force was initiated here to understand. So why we are losing so many tenders? Next step, it was the revisit of the factor identification. So doing a second brainstorming to identify factors that might have an impact on the project goals, the team identified that many tenders the company didn't participate because either the company arrived on delay and could not participate on the tender, or the company didn't provide the correct documentation and then couldn't participate on the tender. Okay, so this completely changed the perspective of the project, and we can see here, we can notice here how important a method that make us unbiased decisions, that force us to make unbiased decisions, is important. So imagine if the company had followed the intuition of the sales reps and just reduced the price. This organization would have received a big impact on the revenue, give price reduction without an increase on the volume. After that, the second task force started to organize an identification to quantify the percentage of tenders the company was not being beat given delays or wrong documentation. And they noticed that there were a lot of paperwork that generated mistakes on the documentation or delay because the director who was traveling could not sign the tender to submit to the customer. So the solution was the implementation of a simple electronic system to take the tender dossier from paper to electronic files. They implemented a web system, a web-based system, to manage quickly many operations and steps. So a director, even if he or she was traveling, could sign electronically the tender, and the company could submit the tender on time and with the correct documentation to the customer. So here was three options of software, the web solution, and the winning. And after the implementation of the project and training the team, the company increased the revenue, did not achieve the 5% goal of the beginning, but the company generated $2 million in additional sales without price reduction.